Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, August 21st. I'm Tamara Sacharczyk. This is an NBC 10 coffee break. Hopefully, you're fully caffeinated for the day. We have lots of news to get to, and unfortunately, we do start with a very sad story that you've probably heard of if you live in Rhode Island or Massachusetts. The nicest judge in the world, Frank Caprio, passed away. We're told that he died yesterday following a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer. He was 88 years old. The retired municipal court judge was well known for his kindness on Caught in Providence. He grew up on Federal Hill, graduated from Central High School, Providence College, and Suffolk Law. Caprio became a judge in 1985. Caught in Providence went viral online and received multiple Emmy nominations. It also did very well on social media, which is where Caprio was really internationally recognized. NBC 10's Gene Valicenti spoke with Caprio about his philosophy on the bench.
Of the sovereign and the power of the individual and the resources. The power of the sovereign, it has police force, it's got unlimited amounts of money, prosecutorial people, and the individual doesn't have that. And I was always aware of that when I was on the bench. I never wanted to overreach, and go after somebody, particularly because of where I stood. I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt.
And that's really what made him such a popular and well-loved guy. He retired from Providence Municipal Court in 2023, right around the same time that he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Judge Caprio leaves behind his wife, Joyce, 5 children, 7 grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. Flags will fly at half staff until his funeral. Services for that have not been announced. I do want to bring in Gene Valicenti. He was very close with Caprio. He did the recent interview that you just saw after his book was published. Gene, you did that, and he was really just a great guy.
He was a great storyteller. I've got his book. I was flipping through the book about a day or two ago, and there's such a funny story. He was invited to be part of the Statue of Liberty anniversary committee, and he went down to the Statue of Liberty, and on the boat back, somebody said, "Would you like to stop at Ellis Island?" And he said, "Absolutely. My father came into Ellis Island." So he stopped, and he was so moved by the visit and seeing the hall that he ran home, and his father was alive at the time, and he said, "Let's go to lunch. I've got to tell you about my visit to Ellis Island." So he's sitting across the table from his dad, and he's telling the story, how moving it was, and tears are coming to his eyes. And his voice starts to quiver, and his father has no reaction. His father keeps eating. And he said, "Dad, Ellis Island, I did this for you. I was walking down the steps. I could imagine you there. And you know why I did that?" And the father says, "No, I don't know why." And the father put down the soup, and he said, "Frank, we landed in Providence." He said his whole history was shattered. "I thought you came into Ellis Island."
His dad's like, "Why are you so emotional?"
Yeah, you mean you landed in Providence? We never saw Ellis Island. So it's a funny story.
Hilarious.
And he's got other funny stories like that. He really lived a storybook life. He could tell a story, but in many ways, he lived a storybook life. The first generation parents of immigrants emigrated from Italy penniless. The father was a peddler up on Federal Hill. And for his son to go to law school as a first generation, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It propelled the family up the ladder so quickly. And while I mentioned the ladder, he always told the story, climb the ladder of success, but just make sure that you leave the ladder down for the next person behind you. So I
love
think
that.
it kind of embodied his perspective on life. And he really would look to give a person a break if you came before him. Now, he told me he could give up the medicine if he had to, because he was a judge. And I said, "Well, talk about that." He said, "Well, I could be tough, but only after I gave the guy a break, he'd come back, and still, mouth off and be a wise guy." I said, "Well, boy, what kind of a guy would do that? Judge Caprio gave you a break, you came back."
Yeah.
But he always looked for a reason to kind of, what kind of a day were you having? What problems in life? And if he could give you a break, he did. So he's going to be missed. And that quirky little television show he had.
Mm-hmm. And Gene, I mean, you and I have been in our fair share of courtrooms over the years as reporters. I don't think I've ever seen a judge like Judge Caprio, who was just so compassionate and so kind and really looked at that person's individual circumstances and then based the punishment or not punishment off of that. You don't see that often.
No, and I guess the show started, it was his wife's idea. His wife, Joyce, of 60 years, by the way, they were married. Her idea, and then his brother put it together with, like cameras and mics, and they'd shoot it in the Providence courtroom. And it was a quirky little show, low budget on the interconnect cable when everybody had cable.
Right.
And, you're flipping through it. And can you imagine you're watching a movie, millions and millions of dollars to produce. And then you go to a network sitcom, and then you keep clicking, and all of a sudden you come across the judge with a little camera. And you're sitting there watching it. It's like all things are equal, I guess, on television. Yeah. But then it was propelled with national syndication. And then the clips that spun off on the internet, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, he became like a worldwide celebrity. He'd be walking down a street in Rome, and people would say, the judge. So I think he enjoyed that. I really think he enjoyed that. It'd be wrong to say he had success later in life. That wasn't true. He enjoyed success as a young man. He was an attorney. He was a smart business investor, and then became a judge. So he had success early in life, middle life, and then this celebrity stuff came later in life. And I think he really enjoyed that.
I feel like there's so much to learn from just how he lived his life and how he did his job. I know that you spoke to his son yesterday. Obviously, he was a big family man. He had a big family. Yep. Any indication on how they're doing? Was this very sudden?
Well, I think they had been prepared for this to come.
Yeah.
Although, he was very close with his sons, which I think some people might be envious of that relationship. He had lunch with his boys often. Maybe sometimes he saw his sons daily at his haunts up on Federal Hill. So I'm sure the families, I think they were expecting it. They knew it was going to go in this direction eventually. He was 88 when he passed away. He'd been in the hospital about 10 days at South County Hospital. But before that, he went through grueling chemotherapy. So he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer about, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. Mm-hmm. So that would put him in his mid-80s. Now, in mid-80s, someone else might say, okay, I'm not going to go through chemo.
Right.
I've lived a full life. Let nature take its course. He didn't want that. He wanted to fight. He wanted more time. And he really went through it. He went through hell. Chemotherapy makes you so sick. He had some success, though. In Miami, he went to a special clinic. He was feeling good. I remember it was in the news. He rang the bell, I think, on the way out. So he fought for that extra time, and he got that extra time. And look at all the things he did with the past year alone, or maybe 2 years. He was Grand Marshal of the Parade up on Atwells Avenue, commencement speaker in May at PC, his alma mater.
Oh, that's great.
Late last year, the book comes out. He made all the media rounds, Good Morning America. So he fought for that extra time, and he got it. So I think he'd say it was well worth the fight.
Yeah, and he did great things with it. He did, he had so many new accomplishments with that extra time that he got because of that treatment in Miami. It looks like my camera connection has been lost. We'll see if our producer, Scott Allen, can work on that. But all right, Gene, well, thank you for that. And I think we'll hear more from you tonight on the news about Judge Caprio and the legacy he leaves behind.
And look at, I see our friend Nicole Livas, who used to be my co-anchor years ago. There's Nicole. She's chiming in from Virginia, where she now lives. Oh. I'm so grateful for the times I got to hang out with him when I worked for NBC 10 WJAR, and that we stayed in touch after I moved away. He's a true gem. A friend to a lot of people in the media, by the way, who enjoyed being with him. All right, Tammy, I'll send it back to you.
All right, sounds good, Gene. We'll see you later. All right, we do want to get over to Storm Team 10 meteorologist Jason Doris. He has a look at the forecast for us. Or I'm sorry, I knew it was AJ and not Jason. AJ Mastrangelo, so nice to see you.
Yeah, a little switch up here for our Thursday. Jason's in studio right now, working hard on some graphics, getting those ready for the noontime. And the big story weather-wise, of course, is Hurricane Erin. But locally speaking, one thing very, very nice about what has transpired over the past 12 to 24 hours is this rainfall. Take a look at this. Smithfield, Providence, around 1 inch of rain. Newport saw 2 inches of rain, 1.25 in Westerly. So as we were seeing some worsening drought conditions across the region, this rain really coming at the right time. And in terms of this rain, it may have been a little bit of an annoyance over the past 24 hours, but it's also helping to steer Hurricane Erin further and further out to sea, keeping us mainly intact here along the coastline. 68 degrees this afternoon under a mostly cloudy sky. Not a whole lot of sunshine, but we do go partly cloudy tonight. And then look at right back to summer, heading for tomorrow, 80 degrees with mostly sunny sky there to close out the work week. The bigger story, though, once again, the high surf advisory. It has been extended until 8 p.m. Saturday. We're seeing buoy wave heights right now around 10, 15 feet, and we do expect those waves to get close to around even 18, 19 feet. Of course, higher than usual risk of rip currents will continue to be the case. All the state beaches right now are currently closed to any swimming out there. This was the scene on Ocean Drive in the Newport area. Michael's sending in this photo. If you do see any weather, be sure to chime in some of your photos. Turn10.com or that NBC 10 app as you do deal with this swell. Impressive swell, nonetheless, something we really haven't seen in a couple of years here with a hurricane making such a close pass. So here is your high rip current risk. Now, you do get north of Cape Cod, Gloucester, parts of the main coastline, still just under a moderate rip current risk. But take a look at these buoy heights, 12 foot right now off of Block Island, 10 feet off of Long Island, and some of our open water still around 9 feet. We do expect to see these wave heights increase over the next 24 hours, likely peaking as we head for early tomorrow morning into our Friday middle of the day. Now, Friday, a gorgeous day, 80 degrees. Saturday, Sunday, both bringing mostly sunny skies, near seasonable temperatures too, mostly sunny, partly cloudy skies, and limited rain chances overall too. Definitely going to be seeing a little bit more of some green grass, Tammy. That's one good thing. You may not have to use that sprinkler if you've been dependent on it the past few days. The one thing we do want to urge is everyone kind of heading to the beaches for this weekend. Make sure you stay in tune with that rip current forecast. We'll have all you need to know with Storm Team 10.
All right. Yeah, definitely take precautions if you're heading to the beach. AJ, thank you. All right. Well, you guys can all see the green screen behind me. So spoiler alert, we have a virtual set when we do this. Our actual set for the news is real, but this is the green screen that we use to give you a coffee break. So we'll continue with the news because I am back on camera. Erin's impacts are already being felt locally. AJ Mastrangelo kind of mentioning that. All high-speed ferry services for today are canceled. This is video of Judge Frank Caprio, who, as we mentioned earlier, passed away. I talked to Gene about that. I don't know what's going on with our video, but we will keep rolling with the story. The steamship authorities also alerting customers of disruptions. Beaches across southern New England are closed because of the dangerous swimming conditions. All right, if you're looking to save a few bucks, you'll want to listen to this next story. Starting tomorrow, Stop and Shop will lower prices on thousands of items. This will happen at 88 stores across eastern Massachusetts. The price cuts will happen in almost every department. The Boston Globe reports the cuts are anywhere between 5 and 40%. So 40%, that's pretty good if that hits some of the items. For example, a loaf of Stop and Shop Italian bread will now cost $1.79. A bag of potatoes and yogurt will cost a few cents less. This comes after members of the state's congressional delegation raised concerns about price gouging at Stop and Shops across the state last year. And hey, if you shop there, I think we've all noticed the increase in prices. Well, Stop and Shop also isn't the only one that's cutting prices due to economic demand. McDonald's is slashing the price of its combo meals to show that it's returning its food to affordable costs. The fast food chain says starting next month, 8 popular combo meals will be 15% less than the total cost of buying the item separately. The company is also expanding its combo offerings, adding a $5 breakfast deal, an $8 Big Mac, and McNuggets special. So some price reductions for all of you out there, which is always a good thing. Well, if you haven't curled up with a good book in a while, you're not the only one. This makes me really sad because I love reading. Reading for pleasure has plummeted sharply over the past 2 decades. A new study published in the journal iScience has found that reading for fun has dropped about 40% overall. However, there is one genre that seems to be on the rise, romantasy or romantic fantasy. Also gaining in popularity, mystery books. Those are some of my favorite. Industry experts say book clubs and online communities have helped with that surge. All right, well, that does it for us for this coffee break. Sorry about our technical issues, but I'm sure we can get them fixed for the next time we are back with this. News and weather always available on our website, turn10.com. We also have a lot of cool news stories featured on our YouTube channel. And if you want to watch an actual newscast, we'll be on again at 12 p.m. with your new news. And I'll be back at 4 o'clock with your news and weather. All right, we'll see you then, everyone. Have a great day.